Welcome to the Bobby Buck Show, where we interview the up-and-coming artists, entrepreneurs, and movers and shakers.
Now, I want to mention 5 books that I want you to pick up and read that have a lot of this history in them. The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop. This is one that deals with the origins of all of these rituals and the meanings of it. The Miseducation of the Negro by Carter G. Woodson. Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Stolen Legacy by George G.M. James. And the final book is called The Invention of the White Race by Dr. Theodore Allen. Get your hand on those and read them. I think you would love it.
Please check out my 2 new books up on Amazon. The Charles Kipling National Theater Company is how to put together a national Black history theater company situated in 24 areas of the United States of America with a center point in the Mississippi Delta. And the other book is The Meme Factor, which discussed the secret identity of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America.
Born to be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging how we play. Born to be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging how we play. Born to be safer, but the voice is really greater in the mix of time and the digging how we play.
We just came back from watching that 3-minute video from Mr. Melvin Ishmael Johnson. And Melvin, it's good to have you here as a guest today.
Well, we're glad to be here.
Yeah, so won't you explain to the audience about that 3-minute video that we just saw?
The video is about what I call 5 books that the descendants of the chattel slaves of America need to read to wake up the dead. Which I call the Negeros. 5 books to wake up the dead Negeros. And those books are Think and Grow Rich, Think and Grow Rich, Stolen Legacy, that deals with all of these Greek fraternities and where they came from.
Okay.
The Two Babylons by Alexander Hislop, and that talk about all of these rituals, the origins of all of these rituals where they come from, like Christmas, Easter, all of that.
Oh, all right.
The miseducation of the Negro that was written in the 30s about the wrong type of education that the descendants of the chattel slaves of America got. And then the invention of the white race by Dr. Theodore Allen talked about when that concept came into being. Mainly that's what the video's about. And then of course I talk about my 4 books that's coming up to the festival. We can talk about that later.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna get into that too pretty quickly. Like, but first of all, I'm gonna ask you. We talked a little bit, but I'm gonna let the people know what exactly is the Lazarus Book Club.
The Lazarus Book Club is books, a lot of hidden books that was to wake up the Negroes, to wake up the descendants of the chattel slaves of America. And I mentioned them earlier, especially a book like These Two Babylons that was talk about all of the rituals. When they talk about the old Babylon and they talk about the new Babylon, which is basically the Roman Catholic Church.
Okay.
And this book by Alexander Hislop talk about the origins of all of these rituals and how they became part of the Christian faith, you know.
Oh, so
And yeah, that particular book. It was hidden for still a book they don't like to talk about because so much information in it. And then the other book is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
yeah, I know about that one. Yeah, they talk
Very
about that.
good book,
Right.
you know, that 17 success principle that most of the wealthy peoples in the United States and successful people use these 17 success principles.
Right.
And then the Miseducation of the Negro, which a book, the education of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America was based upon the concept of the talented 10, where if you educate 10% of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America, they would reach back for the other 90%
Okay.
and bring them up.
Right.
But Carter G. Woodson pointed out that that was a flaw because the more education that they get, the more that 10% would align themselves with the mainstream society and move away from the 90%. That's what we have now. And then that is connected to a book, Soul and Legacy,
Okay.
that talk about where all of the whole Greek philosophy was basically stolen from the ancient Egyptians. You know, this book talk about that. And that is tied into the Greek fraternities and sororities that's providing the leadership of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America. And this is where we see that disconnect, because that's what Carter G. Woodson was talking about. The more education you
Right,
get,
yeah.
the more you're going to move towards mainstream society and away from the other 90%. Now, the person who developed that concept was Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois.
Okay.
But he moved away from it when he found out the flaw in it. And that's what we're still dealing with today. And then the book, The Invention of the White Race by Dr. Theodore Allen, he talked about the first time that the term white was codified in law. And to go back, it was something that happened right after Bacon's Rebellion.
Bacon's
You know,
Rebellion.
Yeah, Bacon's Rebellion
Yeah.
in the old Virginia colony, when you had all these different ethnic groups who rose up, worked together, and they overthrew the English people. They overthrew the colony, and after Bacon, Nathaniel Bacon died, then they come up with a concept where they had to make sure that all of these ethnic groups can never get together again. So they created, up until that time, all of the European groups were separate groups, like German American, Dutch American, you know, France, Spain, all of these.
So that was all separate before?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But after that, they come up with that concept to unify all of these European groups under one legal label, and that's what we've been dealing with ever since. Because after Bacon's Rebellion, the group was freed slaves, ex-slaves, Native American, poor whites. And remember, the early people that came over to start what became America, most of them have been homeless in Europe and come out of prison.
Okay.
And they got them out of prison, and they created the concept of indentured servants, where you want to have another chance at another life, and then we pay for your passage over to the so-called New World. You work, and then you work like 8 years, and then after that, you would get your 40 acres and a mule and whatever, and slaves.
So that's where all
to
that
work
come
your
from.
land. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where all that come from. Yeah. So those are the Lazarus Book Club dealing with that. You know,
Okay.
books to wake up the dead.
Well, I sure believe that that's going to wake some people up with the information you're putting out. And that way people they can go ahead and really start researching it and get to the bottom of some stuff. And I know I'm going to be checking into it. So, yeah, now we're going to get to what you mentioned a little bit earlier. So what books will you have at the LA Times Film Festival? I mean, no, the Festival of Books.
Okay, Festival of Books is on the campus of USC, Saturday, April the 20th, and Sunday, April the 21st.
Right.
And but you have 4 books there, because I got a booth set up, booth number 302 at Founders Park.
Hey, let them know again, booth what?
302
302.
at Founders Park.
Okay.
And the books I will have, one book is called the Black History National Theater Company, how to set up a national Black History Theater Company, situated in 24 areas of the United States of America, with a center point in the Mississippi Delta, you know, because this is the origin of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America before they spread it out and went to all of these cities and stuff for various reasons. So that book is called the Black History National Black Theater Company. And then the other book is a book called The Meme Factor. And that's the secret identity of the descendants of the chattel slaves of America. You know, and that book deals with the history going all the way back to the Sumerians, which was a group of people called the Blackhead people that come over here. This is really what they call the New World. This is really the Old World, you know, and what we call the Old World, these was just colonies of civilizations that we had called Lemuria. Mu, they call it Mu Lemuria. This is where the name America come from. But the group, the Sumerians, were called the Blackhead peoples, and they found these big heads and stuff that they got the size of Empire State buildings and stuff like that. And the reason they call them the Blackhead people is because they was ahead of black people all over the United States of America. See, this area, when they always talk about Columbus came over here looking for, thought he was looking for Indians, and this is what he called people Indians, and that's not the reason. The reason is that India come from the name Idris, and Idris was Enoch, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and Enoch is the founder of writing, civilization. He's the one mentioned in the Bible that was taken up and all that kind of stuff.
Okay,
like
all
that.
right.
Yeah, so that, and then I got a book called Melchizedek Esoteric Computer, and that's how to calculate the revealed scripture as opposed to the traditional scripture that you find in the Bible. And that's connected to how it was Melchizedek in the 14th chapter of Genesis, 7th chapter of Hebrews, and the 110th Psalms that initiated Abraham into what they call the Melchizedekian system of high priest kingship. And this is the structure that the Messiah Jesus, when they say he was a priest after the order of Melchizedek, this is what they're talking about. See, and that book deals with that. Also deals with the real meaning of the name Abraham. See, and it's not Abraham because Ham is a pig.
Right.
See, Kim is the word, you know, and Abram come from the Semitic word Brahman that you find in the Vedic scripture for priest. So when they talking about Abraham, actually what they're saying is priest of Kim. See, priest of scientific knowledge. And when you go to the 14th chapter of Genesis, you see that Abraham and his people, most of them was idol worshipers until he come in contact with Melchizedek.
Okay.
He was already a priest. That's like Brahman. He was called Abram in the Bible first. Abram, a priest. And then when he come in touch with Melchizedek, he become Abraham, priest of scientific knowledge, etc., like that. So that book deals with that. And then
So you've been kind of busy, huh?
yeah, and then the other book is called the Wycott Model. I wrote that book to deal with young people on how to conflict resolution, after school programs, based upon OLA, the one that Tony Brown set up that's in MacArthur Park, which I consider to be one of the best after-school programs that we got. Yeah. So that's what my books is about. They'll be picking up.
Man, we got to do a documentary about you writing on books. So when did you get started writing all this?
Well, I started my theater career back in Ann Arbor, Detroit, Ypsilanti area when I was going to school. We founded the first black theater company on campus called the African Renaissance Theater Company.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's when I got involved in terms of writing then.
Okay. Well, I know I've been working with you off and on for quite a few years, and you do a lot of great, excellent work. Yeah, with your theater writings and stuff. So, and now we'll get to this question here, which you know, I come from that part of it too. We're talking about homelessness, and I see that you mentioned. Well, I got to ask you this: why are military veterans the key to solving housing and homeless problems?
The key, and probably the only key in terms of solving this particular problem, because see where we at now, we're 100 years from the last time the economy collapsed. The economy collapsed in the 30s, and one of the reasons it caused the collapse was the 1927 flood down south, in which the flood covered all of these areas for 4 months. And that led into the economy, the depression that came in the 30s. And now where we at, the economy have really crashed where we're at now. When you look at all these great cities that we used to have, like San Francisco, San Diego, LA, Seattle, you're looking at them now, homeless people everywhere, all living
all over the
tents
place.
And all. And so the trigger was the COVID virus that set the economy down for such a long time.
Right.
And see, so when we get to 2027, it'll be 100 years since the flood down south. Now, the reason military veterans is so important in terms of solving this is because when Dwight D. Eisenhower was leaving the presidency, he saw something, and he warned them. He warned that the danger of what he called the military-industrial complex, which would take a life of its own. See, and he was right about that. Because what that led to now, we have things like the prison industrial complex and the homeless industrial complex. that set up a situation that the more resources that you put into it, what you do instead of solving the problem, you create a bureaucracy that have no incentive to solve the problem. Because you're going to put the bureaucracy out of their job. It creates a paradox that we're dealing with now. Now, what makes the military veterans so important is that, when you look at the military budget now, over 50% of it goes to the military. And then the other 50% for the rest of the United States and people. That's where we got all of these economic problems that would hit us, housing, homelessness, and all of that. Now, you only got one group that can penetrate the federal budget, and that's military veterans.
Okay.
See, that's the only opening into the military budget. The key is for activists, social workers, religious organizations to understand that they got to work their programs around military veterans. Military veterans, have to be the vanguard. In other words, the social workers, the activists, all of them know what it takes to solve the problem. They got to ride the military veterans into the overall military budget.
Okay.
And see, and one of the things that makes that so possible is that the military budget, the military veterans, you got military veterans in every state of the United States.
Right.
And you also got military veterans just about in every family. They can say, I got my uncle was in the military, my such and such like that.
Right.
So to be able to get inside of, look at what the United States is doing now. At the same time, LA, we got all these people living in the streets, in tents, the elderly sitting in wheelchairs and all that kind of stuff on the tents. And at the same time, the United States is putting all this money into the war with Israel, the Ukraine, other international situations that they have either created, like the Sudan or the Haiti. Just go down the list. The United States behind that. When you look at Haiti,
I see
the
what's
United
happening.
States is the one caused all that mess over there that's going on right now.
Okay.
And then they waiting. They got all of this. It's not that we don't have enough money when people pay their taxes and stuff and all that kind of stuff. It's just what Eisenhower said. You got this military industrial complex that's going to keep growing. They're going to keep examining stuff out in space, trying to go to the moon and all that kind of stuff because they got the resources.
Right.
Yeah. Now, what other group that can penetrate the military budget? Nobody but the military veterans, because the military veterans, number one, you're in every state. Number two, you connected to families all over the United States, got some kind of hookup with the military.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about the VA neither. That's a whole separate thing.
Right.
I'm talking about these people that's in the streets now that consider themselves activists, that know what the problem is. You got to understand that the religious organization who should be at the forefront, that's the shame of what's happening here in Los Angeles. You got the Christians, you got the Muslims, you got the Jews, and other religious organizations. And when you penetrate their scripture, you see what they're supposed to be doing. They're supposed to be taking care of the homeless and the widows and the orphans, and that's in their scripture.
Right.
Yeah. But they have become so commercialized and part of Hollywood that they're not worth that much. All of them, most of them talking about they following Jesus.
Right.
But no, they're not following Jesus. When you're talking about the Christians, I'm just going to lay it out, when you're talking about the Christians, you're talking about they following Jesus. No, they following the Apostle Paul. Jesus said in John 8:31-32, if you continue in my words, You are my followers. You are my disciples. Indeed, you shall know the truth. Truth shall make you free. He didn't say nothing about the Apostle Paul.
Right.
You know? So how the Apostle Paul, who is an apostle that follows a prophet, how he get in the forefront of the Messiah Jesus? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's not just in Christianity, it's the same thing with Islam.
Yeah.
Cause we got all this mess going on with all of the wealth that's in the Islamic community, and you sit back and you can see all of this madness going on over there in Gaza. And people up there talking about they don't want to get it hollering, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, and you looking at all that madness. You're not following these prophets.
I feel you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
the situation with that.
But, yeah, well, I tell you what, you know, next time, yeah, we can really get deeper into.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get deep into it, but also let the audience know about that you're a vet yourself.
Yeah. Marine Corps veteran, 69 to 71, and not only that, you know, out of my family of 7 males, 2 females, 6 of us served.
Okay.
You know, 2 in the Air Force, 3 in the Army, and I was in the Marines.
Okay.
And stuff like that.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
That's why you got the knowledge that you were speaking about earlier about, you know,
Yeah,
that's what
yeah,
you need to target.
because well, a lot of people they you know, they see you as a veteran and they say, oh, thank you for your service, and then I look at it and say, okay, but look, I'm from the Mississippi Delta. If you think I got involved with, I got drafted. When I got down, they was pulling every 3 into the Marines. That's how I ended up. And most of the veterans that come out of the South, you know, not because they so crazy about the United States.
Yeah.
That was they out, you know.
Yeah.
And then once they come out, we know what happens to so many veterans that come down South, and all the racists and stuff is killing them and lynching them
Yeah.
in their uniform.
Yeah.
And they done went over there and fought, and so many of them died to protect these fools.
Yeah.
See, so, you know, it's no illusion about being a veteran. It's the reality of it, you know. And but what I mentioned earlier, veterans have a job to do, but they also, because you remember how long we worked in this Skid Row area, and I can remember clearly the divide among the business people, the activists, the social workers, the veterans,
Right.
you know, the religious organization,
Yeah.
you know, and now look at the mess that we got. See, farther behind than when we was 10 years ago when we was down in Skid Row
Yeah.
and saw all of this coming, see, and now, you know, people acting like they don't know what happened, and we saw it before our eyes, you know. We
Yeah.
can't keep repeating the same mess, you
Over
know,
and
like
over,
that.
expecting something
Need
different.
a
That's
solution.
insanity.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we
Need
did-
to come together.
Yeah, because we did an event yesterday, and people was looking around and said, it's worse this year than it was last year. So that's what I'm saying. So well, I tell you what, we're going to make sure we're going to have you back, and we're going to let you speak a whole lot deeper on some of the topics you were talking about today. And
Okay.
everything. Yeah, man.
Wonderful. We'll talk about it in detail. Looking forward.
Okay, yeah, right on, y'all. So there y'all have it for this episode for right now from the Bobby Buck Show with the segment, See What's Happening. And we out for right now. Peace.
Peace. All right.